All right, Leftovers at Midnight, episode 15. How you guys doing?
This is not your dad's podcast.
My dad's asleep.
I don't know where my dad's at. I'm doing great, though.
I don't think
Jesus,
my dad
Eric.
listens to podcasts.
Jeez, I hope my dad doesn't listen to this. If you listen to this, Dad, I'm sorry.
My dad wants to listen to this, and in one of the first episodes, I talked about all the drugs I've done. And like, he doesn't need to know about that, so I'm sorry.
Just hide the episode.
I got my webcam from my dad, and I told him, I was like, yeah, I finally have a reason to have one. He was like, what do you need it for? And I was like,
It's a cool project.
because
Zoom.
my dad is he's an unendingly supportive guy. So like, if I told him, I was like, yeah, I joined a podcast. It's dumb. Like I'm sure he probably went and found it and watched the last episode. And I was like, just so you know, like we swear. And my dad is a very he's a loving conservative man. And so I feel a little bit bad about him having to watch some of the things I said last week.
That's okay.
I mean, some of the stuff I talk about, my dad was there for most of it, so it's like, you know.
That's fair, yeah.
I mean,
Could be
I'm
worse.
old enough to where I'm 24. What's he gonna do? Get mad at me and take away my computer? Like,
Well, see,
what are you gonna do?
That's probably how my dad feels. Like my dad would be like, "You're a grown ass adult now." Like,
yeah.
I'm the one that feels weird about it. Probably not him. I still apologize if I swear in front of my parents because I just feel super weird about it. Like we never had that kind of. That was not part of our culture. Was like my parents didn't swear. And I did not swear around them. And I know like that, you know, there's nothing wrong with that if that's just the relationship you have with your parents. But like, we just didn't. Like, I got my mouth washed out with soap when I was a little kid on more than one occasion, like bar soap.
Yeah,
Christmas Story style.
Now, see, when I was a little kid, that makes total sense. Like that's how it was for me too. But I think the weirdest experience that I had with my parents was going to Thanksgiving one year and bringing a 4-pack. And just hanging out.
That is weird. Drinking around my parents is weird.
It was super weird because like my stepmom drinks like a little bit, but my dad doesn't fuck with alcohol at all. So just seeing my dad kind of confused, like, "Are you okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm just hanging out, having a beer."
What's up, bro? You want
It's
a PBR?
Thanksgiving. At Rolling Rock, actually.
My dad drinks Rolling Rock. That's my dad's beer choice, but like. We're a whole ass family full of lightweights, dude. Like, you know, I like the fact that I can buy half a gallon of PBR for $4. Like, so that's what I usually drink. So I get the tall boys, and one is usually good for me. Like I'm having a good time on one. But like my dad, I saw my dad drink like half a glass of sangria one time, and he started turning red and giggling. And my mom does not like to be in any form of altered state of consciousness. She doesn't really like to be drunk. She definitely doesn't like to be high from the one time apparently that she ever smoked weed. And so my dad did, like, they don't really have alcohol in the house ever unless my dad makes sangria. So drinking around my parents is very strange because like I love to make craft cocktails and stuff, and I can't make them for my parents because they just don't really drink liquor.
Understandable, but I mean, could be
We're a
worse.
family
I mean,
full
at
of
least you're not like
alcoholics over here. Have a really expensive bottle of scotch that I only drink on occasion, and all of a sudden there's.
Is it that one that tastes like balloonies?
Yes. Yeah, that's the only scotch I like.
Logan brought a bottle of scotch to like the send off party.
Don't
for
say
the
the name.
shop when
There
it
you go.
closed. What do you think this is? Who do you think I'm some kind of unprofessional? Come on.
We'll edit it in post. It's fine.
So when we had the send-off party, he brought this bottle of scotch, and I was like, "Sweet, I've never tried scotch before." And it's straight up. You remember balloonies? Those little plastic balloons that you get with a straw that came in a tube. That's what that scotch tasted like.
Oh, that's weird. That's dangerous territory.
Like old rubber.
It's very smoky.
Yeah,
good.
but the
like
smoke that came off of a burning tire, like.
I mean,
Like the
have
movie
you ever
Rubber.
had a burning tire? You ever had a fat tire? That also sucks.
I've had a fat tire IPA.
I have had a fat tire.
Disgusting.
I think we all have. Not
Anyway,
bad, not bad.
yeah, my dad likes to drink all my liquor. Like I had a bottle that a customer gave me for Christmas last year. They gave me a bottle of Gentleman Jack. No, it was Gentleman Jack, and my dad drank the whole fucking thing. It was like, that was mine. Thank you.
I would have kicked him out.
Road.
Yeah, you need to leave. Why? I pay for this house. You need to leave anyway, sir.
Eric, do you remember a couple years back for New Year's when we were at Richard's house?
It was me.
Barely.
It was me,
Barely.
you,
So,
Hannah.
You don't remember that? Like me and Hannah.
Oh
were
no.
dog sitting for Richard.
I remember. It's just hazy at that point.
You were asleep.
So we picked up a bottle of Jack Winter for that. Do you remember
Yes.
that?
Yeah.
Every year since then, I have made it like a tradition to buy a bottle of that. I have a bottle of Jack Winter in my freezer right now, and I've made this recipe for like the best fucking Christmas cocktail that you could imagine, with like nutmeg and the Jack Winter and Bailey's, and like it's
Shit, you might have to send that recipe
So
to me.
good.
That sounds pretty fucking good.
so good.
You can put G Fuel in it instead of nutmeg.
I mean, I feel like if you put G Fuel in vodka, it would be like a Red Bull in vodka. That's basically what you'd have,
Yeah,
More or less.
but it wouldn't be watered down. Like
Like fruit
it's
punch.
just mainlining the energy and
Yeah.
taking shots of vodka.
That is not the
You
worst
could
idea
do
that
a
I've heard
G
this week.
Fuel. You could do a G Fuel rim, like a sugar rim.
I want you to snort a line of G Fuel one day on for the podcast. I think that'd be hilarious. That I know you would
Okay.
do it too.
That's a terrible
Yeah.
fucking idea.
It
I
is,
was
but
gonna
I
say
know
might
he
get
would do it.
flashbacks, but I mean, I'll do it.
Well, like regardless of your previous experiences, the size of
The way
the
you
size
worded
of
it.
the particles, the size of the particles of G Fuel cannot be small enough that it would be a smooth entrance. Like you would immediately get a nosebleed.
You could get a mortar and pestle.
Yeah, and he's not gonna rail. He's not gonna rail a line. Sure, he'll just like.
Don't fucking
Just
tempt
get like
him.
a little bump key.
I don't
or
have to tempt
something.
him. I know he'll
Well-
do it.
Little poke spoon around a necklace and just.
Have you seen his Christmas cards? He does not care.
I
Stop it.
have seen
Stop
his
it.
Christmas cards,
You need to be
unfortunately.
prepared for this before you do it.
Oh
You
God,
need
he's
to be
going right
ready.
now.
You can
G
also
Fuel,
see the
sponsor
pyramid
our
behind me.
podcast, please.
We'll do that for our drinking episode. We can take tequila shots and you can snort the salt and then squish the lemon or lime in your eye and then splash the fucking tequila on your face.
All right, so we're gonna have to record on another night besides Thursday if we're gonna do a drinking episode later, so that I can actually like drink.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
If we do it, so and this is totally gonna be like up to whether or not Robbie feels like drinking before he goes in. But if we did it on a Saturday
No.
before you have to go in at noon,
We'll do it on a day that we both have the. So for those of you who don't know, Tommy and I work together. We'll do it on a
Yes.
day that the store's closed.
okay, all right, word.
Yeah, that
All right.
way. But you know, we'll
so like
have
one
like,
of like 3
9
days in a
episodes.
year.
yeah, right.
Well, no, one of like 6 days in a year because we usually have Christmas Eve and Christmas Day.
I'll be in Tennessee then. Yeah, we're going. I know. You're familiar with Tennessee. We're thinking about going to. I don't remember the name of the
Thorn
place. I'll have to.
That's
I'll
where I
have to
got
send you the
COVID.
name. Yeah. See, we're not going out. We're going to a cabin with like 9 family members in December.
Yeah, that's
is
what
where
we
at?
did, and we
I
got
don't-
COVID.
I don't remember the name of the cabin. We haven't really set on a place. I was told Townsend is really nice because it's right outside of Knoxville, I think. I
Sounds right.
really want to go to Nashville.
So Nashville is a horrible place, and you don't want to go there.
But there's music.
But
I mean, there's
that's
cool
it.
stuff like musically in Nashville and Memphis, but like
Yeah.
when I visited Memphis, Memphis is a scary place to be.
Memphis
Yeah.
is very scary.
Like we went to New Orleans, and New Orleans is like
New Orleans, say it
like
right.
it could be sketchy, you know.
New
Like
Orleans.
there's some spots in New Orleans that are really sketchy, but like Memphis feels very unwelcoming. Like
does.
nobody in Memphis wants you there. if you don't live there, they would rather you weren't there at all.
Is there a reason why?
No, it's just kind of a hostile city environment.
Yeah, there's one reason you go to Memphis, and that is Graceland.
No, you go to Memphis for Stax Records.
Stax Records, you're right.
I'll go to Memphis for McDonald's if I fucking want to.
I'll go to Memphis for McDonald's, he says.
Dude, Memphis. So we went and visited the Stax Academy. Those kids can play. Like they made me want to quit music. They were so good. These 14, 15-year-old kids just shredding, just tearing it up on like big band instruments, jazz band instruments, a lot of really, really good sax players, a lot of really good horn players, but they were insane at like 15. I was like, I'm done. I'm quitting. I'm over it.
Yeah, I want to go for the experience because, I mean, Nashville and just Tennessee in general, the only time we've been to Tennessee, I think I was like 2 or 3 years old, and we were at a Golden Corral or something up there. And
that's where you go in Tennessee.
That's the only experience I had. I don't remember it. I think we were just passing by there. We like went up there to go see one of my dad's friends or something. I don't know. So
I guess it just depends, like if you want to go to the city or if you want to like be in the pretty part of Tennessee.
It depends on the pandemic, honestly, because I know the vaccine's going to be available in a couple months to the public, and hopefully by the beginning of next year, end of this year, hopefully, things start to open back up and become more normal, and we can all go back to our lives and concerts and all that shit.
Yeah, I mean, President Biden just did an address to, I believe it was in Wyoming, where he had said that they're going to be setting out, I want to say 60 million, 600 million vaccine doses between now and the end of July. He said that by the end of July, everyone who wants a COVID vaccine should be able to get one. Fauci said that April is like when it's open season, anybody can apply for it. But he said by July, anybody who wants one should have one.
I saw a clip on Twitter of my president, Biden. This woman, she was asking him questions, and she said something along the lines of how her son is like immunocompromised, and he's 16 years old, and he's doing all he can to be safe and be healthy, and he took himself out of public school and barely sees anybody, and this, that, and the other, and he's so like vulnerable to the disease, and the vaccine's not available to him. And she asked him
because he's not over 65, right?
She asked him, she's like, when are you gonna fix that, basically? And he's like, well, we have a whole plan worked out in place, but I'll stay after this conference and you and I can talk about it and we'll work something out. And I was just like,
imagine
that's so
imagine
cool.
The president of the goddamn United States comes to you and says, I will personally see to it that we have a solution for your problem. Like, I mean,
that's not something that was even a thought for the last 4 years.
He did throw paper towels.
I wouldn't have even considered that, with Obama, and that's not really a knock on Obama. It's just in that station, like it's not the type of interaction you would expect to have with the president,
Yeah. Super strange.
That's like a genuine.
But, I mean, it's cool as shit, but it's like, whoa.
That's how he's being genuine. It's not for press. That's like it's dangerous to be anywhere, especially right now. Holy shit! So that's a genuine thing. It's like, you're a good dude, man. Big ups, Liquid Richard.
Yay.
But yeah, I mean, the power outages apparently have been like a big issue as far as like transporting doses of the vaccine, like over in Texas. So if you've been living under the rock for the last week, under a rock, if you're living under the rock, good for you. And tell him we said hi.
I'm sure he smells
But if you're living under a rock for the past week, Texas is like, I want to say like a third of their power is just shut off. And they've gotten to this point now where like they were doing scheduled outages, and when they tried to turn the power back on in the scheduled outages so that they could conserve energy and get things running again, they couldn't turn the power back on. So there are people who are going on like 2 weeks almost, I think, with no power.
Yeah.
Because
of already died.
And like the Texas government was warned about this years ago. I want to say it was back in 2013. One of their engineering consultants was just like, listen, you guys' wind power system is not winterized properly, and if you don't properly treat your wind power, it's gonna go out if you guys get snow. Like they told them years and years ago, and Texas was just like,
we're Texas, we're fine.
Yeah, right.
And so now people are like taking to the internet like, oh, well, you know, if we were gonna if we had switched over to all renewable energy sources like AOC recommends, like wind power, then Texas would have no power right now. It's like, no, windmills work in Antarctica, right? Windmills work in Illinois and Chicago where they get massive, crazy storms where it gets cold as shit, and they treat them properly. And they don't have an issue.
That's what I was just about to say. That's the difference. They're prepared for that.
Yeah, I saw one tweet specifically where this guy was like, imagine if we had switched to solar power in this time where people were heating their homes with solar electricity instead of gas. It's like, yeah, I mean, solar panels still work when there's snow, because all they need is the sun.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what are you getting at?
Yeah, let's give them a light dusting
right now because they're frozen.
Right.
It's just crazy stuff.
It's cold everywhere.
I was actually just about to touch on that. My buddy moved from Florida, actually perfect, immaculate timing. Just moved in with a couple of his friends to Tennessee, like outside of Nashville. And they're like everywhere around there. The pipes are like completely frozen solid, and they lost power too because of all the cold shit. So,
and I know like up there, they do winterize their shit. Like this is just a freak storm for them, but like Texas was just not prepared in any way.
Yep, it's fucking crazy. Like imagine global warming like not being a thing.
Imagine.
I know, right?
Weird.
Global warming is not a thing. Everything's getting colder.
Global freezing, dumb bitch.
Yeah, exactly.
I saw a joke about the whole Texas thing because a lot of streamers, they moved to Texas, and a lot of them are sponsored by Postmates, and it was like, I bet a lot of streamers sure wish they didn't live off of Postmates right about now because they're all starving. And I follow I've seen a couple of them on Twitter, and they're like using outside like stone or wood ovens and shit like that, pizza brick ovens to like make food, and it's like, you have to get off your ass and do something for once. Wow.
What a concept.
Yeah, but I guess some of them are taking advantage of it, and because obviously you can't really stream with all this shit going on if it's going to be unreliable. It's a nice little break, and it makes for some good content. A buddy of mine lives in, I think, Mississippi or Missouri, and one of those M states. And he sent me a photo of his whole backyard. I was like, damn, that's a lot of snow. It was like covered, and it was all ice, not snow. Like, what the fuck?
I'm loving seeing some of like the Texas redneck innovations that are coming out of this horrible snowfall. And also seeing like the people asking how the fuck to drive in the snow. Like one of the things that I saw today on Reddit in r/3D printing is this guy 3D printed himself a set of that he attaches to the bottom of his shoes with shoelaces.
Set of what?
And it's just like a little square with like pointed, pyramids on the bottom of it, or ice cleats, so that you can walk on the ice without slipping. Super cool. Like a super cool thing. And that, like, he could probably make a killing selling that shit.
Oh yeah.
Just because like the cost to print it and produce it is so low. And I'm sure from my own experience, like it probably took him maybe an hour to print that part. So 2 hours per pair, and you sell them for $20 each.
Yeah.
That's money.
That's
or awesome. Like the people, like there's people on TikTok right now, like dancing on their swimming pools and stuff.
Just all of a sudden the sun comes out, they just fall through, melts it all.
Snow shovel sales in Texas just shot through the roof. Like,
yeah. Yep. I'd love to have stock in one of those companies right about now.
Right.
I know, right?
Game who? Did
everybody forget about the stock market like over the last week? I feel like,
I don't know what's going on.
Talking about crypto, and everyone was talking about stocks for like 2 weeks, and then nothing, just crickets.
Yep.
I've always had like stocks and I've always followed crypto. I'm not huge on it. I did see Elon Musk say that if all like the big majority holders of a Dogecoin sell, that he'll buy a bunch of it and start endorsing it full time.
Yeah.
That'd be
So
nice
that
for
means
people
like there's
me.
well, at that point, there's not much incentive to hold it.
Right. I think you mean
Like,
hodl.
I mean, except to see it continue to rise. But like at a certain point, you want to hold so that it keeps its value. But if Elon Musk is just going to turn around and buy whatever you sell right as you sell it, then there's no like societal pressure to hang on to your Dogecoin.
Right.
Yeah.
You're just, providing extra income for Elon Musk as if he needed it.
Speaking of Musk, did you guys see we landed on Mars today? Our the rover?
Oh fuck yeah!
I say R
like,
as
I
in
saw something
I had
about
something
it,
to do
but
with
I
it.
don't really know what's going on.
Yeah,
Goddamn
so the rover tweeted out, I have up here a photo of what it took when it first got to the surface of Mars, and it's a black and white image. That shit is gnarly, man. That we have that kind of technology where we can go to fucking Mars, take a photo of it, and have it sent back, and I think it takes like 12 minutes.
Yeah.
I think it's funny that the first thing that happened when we landed on Mars again was a tweet.
Yeah.
Like
That
the first thing
right.
that this extremely like high level of engineering piece of technology did as soon as it landed was check its fucking timeline. Like it checked
Any good memes
and made a tweet like, "Yo, what up? I'm on Mars."
Like,
what up?
And
It
it hashtagged countdown to Mars. Like,
but
Life
it's,
on
it's also
Mars was
cool because
trending.
it gets the people involved. It
oh
gets
yeah,
the
totally.
masses
I
involved
don't
in
think that it's a
science.
problem that this happened. I love that. It's just funny to consider,
hilarious.
like,
Oh yeah.
even 10 years ago, to think that social media would play a role in space travel. Like,
Yeah. That's insane.
Cool shit though.
I love it.
so what are we looking at with this rover that the last rover didn't show us? Like, is it just that the last rover didn't make it all the way around the planet to show everything there is to show? Or
I think so. If I remember reading correctly, they're going to search for any sort of past form of life and any kind of water and stuff like that like helps with the life. I don't remember. I think so. Because apparently Mars used to be very similar to Earth.
So, according to the NASA admin, Steve Jerzik, I think is how you pronounce his last name.
Joystick.
He says that the Mars 2020 Perseverance mission embodies our nation's spirit of preserving, even in the most challenging of situations, inspiring and advancing science and exploration. The mission itself personifies the human ideal of persevering towards the future and will help us prepare for human exploration of the red planet in the 2030s. That is a short timeline to get people on Mars.
Yeah.
I mean, we've always talked about it. Like Elon's talked about it, and we've talked about it in, just pop culture in general, like what it would look like to go to Mars. But like to put a number on it, to put a timeline on that this close, is crazy. Would you guys go to Mars?
Absolutely.
Like hypothetically, if
Absolutely.
in the next 10 years they're asking people for volunteers to colonize Mars, would you do it?
Yeah, I would. Fuck
I'm
Earth.
not sure I could do a one-way trip, but I definitely want to go.
I'll bring Barry with me.
pictures would be
Let's
cool.
let's not say that you're permanently going to Mars for the rest of your life, right?
Oh
like,
yeah, absolutely. Then,
but like you go up there, you stay for 5 years to kickstart the colony, and then you can come back. But like, I don't know if I would do it, dude. Like, I get sick on fucking roller coasters. Like, I don't think I would make it.
I would retire on Mars. Like, that'd be kind of sick.
Bring some G Fuel, your computer,
like
a long Ethernet cable, and you're good to go.
Yeah, I mean, by that point, we got tweets coming out of Mars right now. By that point, you can totally stream video.
Starlink
games
will
from
definitely
Mars.
be up there.
Well,
it'll be
that, but like realistically, like
fiber optic cable leading directly from Earth.
Okay, now don't tempt me because I'm gonna have to tweet Elon about this shit. That said, I think it would be cool, like, I've done everything on Earth that I wanted to do. I'm gonna go spend the rest of my time on Mars.
Right.
Like, how fucking sick would that be?
I don't know that
I
I could
mean-
get through everything I ever wanted to do on Earth before the end of my life. You know what I mean?
You know, like the American dream. Oh, I did everything I wanted to do. That
See,
standard.
I think
I
Elon
mean-
Musk will volunteer to go to Mars, and he'll get up there and do the Harlem
I
Shake
feel
just
like-
to say he did
I
it.
feel like he's gonna.
You know what I
feel like
mean?
he's gonna end up staying there.
Like he'll get up there and just start memeing.
He's gonna be fucking Space Moses.
Yeah.
Like,
He's gonna
Oh,
part
look
the
at you
red
guys on
planet.
up there and be like, "Let my people go."
He'll start planking on shit.
Jesus Christ.
Just knowing him, not knowing him, but what he does, he'd do some stupid shit like that. That'd be amazing.
LOL, my kid's playing Minecraft on Mars. Get wrecked.
Yeah,
Like-
my kid AEX12 14Y.
It would make his kid's name make a lot more sense.
Yeah.
Fucking
At that point, could you register as Martian?
Child.
ET phone home.
So, like, while we're on the subject, real quick, one of the older rovers they had, Opportunity. I don't know if you guys ever heard the last words of Opportunity, but it's kind of like poetic in a weird way.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, I remember. I
Yeah.
don't remember what he said, but I remember it being like specifically haunting in like a very unique way.
Yeah, it just says my battery is low and it's getting dark.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
that
remember
feels
that.
like-
I don't feel so
that
good,
sounds
Mr.
like
Stark.
one of those 6-word horror stories, you know?
Yeah.
Or write a sad story in 6 words. The baby shoes for sale, never worn.
Those
Oh,
are 7 words.
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck
but yeah,
Oh,
it's
man.
just it's like weirdly haunting, but also poetic. You know?
I agree. Yeah, I mean, but I remember reading that and getting chills reading it. Like, golly, the amount of human emotion that you can ascribe to an inanimate object. You know,
Yeah.
inanimate. I mean, it moves, but
What? Yeah, without a consciousness. I know what you're getting at.
Non-sentient.
right.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, no, it's. I mean, it's still a lot to think about. Like, no.
I mean,
good.
AI is coming a long way, dude. I've been watching the what's her name? Is it Selena? The robot like human analog that they have.
Yeah.
That shit creeps me right out.
It's
like
wild.
it's wild,
Uncanny Valley.
so interesting, but like watching her make facial expressions, you know,
It's super
like
strange.
responding emotionally to questions is fucking strange.
In almost real time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
That
the
Uncanny
craziest thing
Valley
about it.
shit.
Like, yep. She's like
worst
what?
part-
The
yeah,
first.
worst part is like her eyes don't focus.
Yeah.
you know?
No, never.
So she looks
Never.
at you and it looks like she's just looking right through you. When she looks at the camera, it looks like she's looking through the camera and into your very being.
Yeah. She's
guys-
she's what, like the first AI citizen of whatever country she's in. There's a specific spot. It's not here in the States, but it's somewhere. But she's like
Oh,
the
yeah.
first AI citizen of that country.
Weird.
Like that's fucking wild, dude.
And there's such an ethical debate that goes along with something like that. Like at a certain point, when is it no longer artificial intelligence? Like if an AI can begin to learn and then begin to interpret, like, and it kind of comes down to what you consider to be life and free will and consciousness, like on a very molecular and like
Mhm.
base level, the idea that we are, all just synaptic firings dictate what our emotions are and what our reactions to situations are and like what our humanity is. What does that mean? If science advances to the point where it can faithfully recreate and replicate that, what's the ethical debate on like how you treat a person at that point who is artificially intelligent?
Yeah. Or someone
Like,
who's like
I feel
cybernetically
like we're
enhanced.
way closer to that than it seems,
Yep. There's a
mean-
lot of shit with the way that human and technology are like interlocking. And
Absolutely.
what's crazy is like you think about stuff like that and when did the first iPhone come out? Like 2004, 2003?
Yeah,
whatever it was.
Something like that.
The like pinnacle smartphone came out 20 years ago.
2007.
And we're already 2007?
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's so 15.
So 15 years ago, we had our first like flagship smartphone, right? And now we're already like figuring out ways to interlock human and technology. Like,
yeah.
Don't get me wrong, like honestly, it's freaky as fuck. But at the same time, it's also cool as shit because like you can see how much more rapidly technology is moving. Society.
Yeah. I mean, it's not like I'm not like afraid like, Skynet became self-aware. Like that's not really
that.
Where is going.
Yeah, no.
But like just the ramifications of having an artificial, and I'm every time I'm saying artificial in my brain, I'm air quotes, because like if it really is that advanced, like how can you argue that it's artificial?
That's why we had the Voight-Kampff test.
What's that?
So we had the Voight-Kampff test.
I thought you said something else. And I was very.
Did you think I said that one book by that one person?
Yep,
that's specific.
That's where I thought you were going with that.
Written by Ann Coulter. I stole that joke. That was Nikki Glazer joke, I think. I'm not that funny.
The Voight-Kampff is Blade Runner, if you've ever seen it. Because that's what we're doing, is we're having the Blade Runner discussion right now, whether you know it or not.
Well,
I found out, I wonder if this is going to mean anything to anybody here, but I found out that a coworker of mine personally knows the CEO of Adafruit. Do you know what that is? You guys know what I'm talking about? So Adafruit is like it's like a learning center or a learning hub online, as well as a retailer for small electronics and things like Raspberry Pis, things like Arduinos, programming language courses, and then like robotics and remote control stuff and infrared cameras. Like it's all like the mad scientist basement emporium, essentially. And like if you're looking into getting into Raspberry Pi or Arduino, more than likely you're going to come across Adafruit. And I just happened to find out casually this week that I work with somebody who knows the CEO of Adafruit, which completely blew my mind. Like knows her from back when they were like in high school.
Up right now. That's interesting. I didn't know that they were behind Raspberry Pi.
Yeah, and that's like if you wanted to sync your Christmas lights up to a radio station, you go to Adafruit to buy the supplies to do that. Like just when like crazy things go viral on the internet that has to do with normal people making technologies or innovating in technology. A lot of that stuff comes from places like Adafruit.
I bought some of their boards when I was homebrewing my DS.
Homebrewing your DS?
Yeah. It's homebrewing is Nintendo's version of like jailbreaking. Yeah. So back when jailbreaking your iPhone was a huge thing, that's when homebrew kind of became a thing.
I couldn't imagine
Nintendo consoles
wanting to jailbreak my phone. Like
it's still worth it. I mean, I've done it. I'm on iOS 14.2 and I have some stuff done. It's just extra little features that Apple still doesn't implement.
Oh yeah, but I mean, like back in the day, like when I was jailbreaking my iPod Touch, the difference between a jailbroken iPod Touch and a non-jailbroken iPod Touch were completely different. Like the amount of shit you could do with a jailbreak that there was no way you could possibly do it on a vanilla iPod, was insane. But now it's like there's so much shit on your phone already that the differences have to be really minute.
Yep.
Aside from aesthetic stuff or stuff that's like
it's mostly
too
aesthetic.
high CPU power to make any difference.
But but yeah, actually, speaking of which, this is a kick-ass segue to what I'm talking about tonight for my weekly tech bits. It's great. So the biggest thing is actually the iOS bullshit that's going on with Google. So do any of you guys use Google Apps on your iPhones?
Yeah, totally.
I don't have an
like
iPhone.
Gmail, Google Calendars, shit like that.
Google Maps,
Google Home.
Okay, yeah, stuff like that. Okay, so
Home,
Google
yeah.
had a big thing in the time that we recorded the last episode and this week. So Google started firing out random notifications and locking people out of their Google accounts from their iPhones. It was a super weird thing. But also, for those that aren't familiar with iOS 14.5 and 14.4, Apple has implemented a huge thing for app developers that with anyone that does like privacy tracking or anything, like your secure information. So for all you conspiracy theorists, this is the time to tune in. But anything that does like information tracking or whatever, app developers are supposed to put some kind of privacy information in the notes of the app. So like, how do they track you? What information do they use? What do they use it for? X, Y, and Z. They're supposed to put all that stuff in there. Google never really agreed to putting any of that in there. It just didn't. So for whatever reason, Google was hiding why they're using your information in iOS apps, right? So it was a big thing. And the latest update for iOS rolled out, and Google started firing off notifications, hey, we need you to sign in again. And people would sign into their Google apps, and like the app would say it was like out of date. But the problem is they haven't released any updates since December, when the big like Facebook announcement thing started happening. If you guys remember back in December, that's when iOS released, I think it was iOS 14.2, 14.3. And that's when they like started filtering the anti-privacy tracking. So you could like filter what ads you wanted to see on your apps, or targeted preferences. I think that's what it's called, like targeted preferences on your phone. So they removed all that, and Facebook was like, oh, we don't like that. And then Google was like, we don't like that even more than Facebook doesn't. So Facebook and Apple have been kind of swinging dicks at each other ever since. But Google's just over here in the sidelines like, hey, we need your information, but we're not really going to tell you what for. But just keep doing your thing with Facebook. So that's been a whole thing. And then I think it was within the last like 48 hours, actually, that it became like known that Google was doing some shady shit. And then Google just removed the notifications from everybody. They didn't release any updates. Google just was able, like, you're able to sign into your apps normally now. So anybody that had any issues within the last week, that's what's going on. It's not like I don't think it's like a privacy stealing type thing. Like I don't think it's identity theft of any kind. It's just Google's not really being transparent with everything, especially on the iOS end, which makes me even more shady about like Google related phones like the Pixel. So, you know, everybody wants to shit on Apple for being like privacy thieves or whatever, but Apple has really stepped their shit up. So now Google is the one that we have to worry about.
There is actually a way, like a relatively easy way to know exactly what Google knows about you. If you go to adssettings.google.com, it'll open an ad personalization screen, and it'll show you like all of the demographics that you fall in for app tracking. Like I'm looking at mine right now.
I am so glad you
male, Guitar Center, Reverb, Sweetwater.
I am so glad you brought that in, because it is strange how accurate that is just based off of the information that we look at.
Hold on, what is it?
It's fucking weird.
I'm gonna check mine.
It's adssettings.google.com. And like it's everything that you've ever Google searched, every ad you've clicked on Facebook that was tracked by Google. Like let's see what's a weird one that's on here that doesn't make any sense because I accidentally tapped an ab. Let's see, jazz.
All right, here's mine. 35 to 44 years old, male, Reverb, Wayfair, Best Buy, Sweetwater, Wish, Target. I have no clue what that is. Tommen? What is that?
What was the website again?
How's it spelled?
THOMANN.
That's Harley Benton. That's the UK dealer for Harley Benton guitars.
Okay. And then Walmart.
I think that's probably something I sent you.
Probably
from Tom and Music. Because they do all the Harley Benton cabinets, and their guitars are like notoriously really inexpensive because Tom is like the exclusive dealer for them, but they produce really, really good instruments for really cheap. So like even with shipping from the UK, you can get a guitar for like under $200. That is just a way better guitar than $200 buys you anywhere else.
Awesome.
So what Google thinks is that
our podcast.
So what Google thinks is that because Robbie is an absolute fucking nut job and an audiophile, they think that he's an old man.
And no, I think that probably has something to do with like you faked your age when you made your Facebook account or something stupid.
No, I used the right age.
I think it's.
I don't know.
I'm sticking to the idea that it's because you're a nut job for audio stuff.
Yeah, well,
that
you
it
like
thinks that you're like a middle-aged man.
Gamer lives matter, man.
Right. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, like it's been for shipping and logistics is one of the categories that I am supposedly
super strange.
That they
super strange.
Texas. This is just from today. Texas.
Texas
it's
right.
crazy, and you can go in through this and actually like delete all the information they have and tell them not to track you anymore. What that does effectively in your real life is makes it so that you don't see ads that are relevant to you in any way.
One of mine also says audio equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but, like I mean, I
got
like
that
it never
too.
bothered me that Google took took down demographic information about me like that, because I would rather see ads that make sense for me to look at than ads that are just completely useless like you would see on television. I don't need Life Alert, you know?
Yeah. A lot of this is wrong too.
Yeah, I get a lot of that too.
Yeah, and it's based on just like any Google search that you've done or any search that you've done on any platform that uses Google tracking. Or even just the shit that you have said out loud near a Google-enabled device.
Dog food, dog food, dog food, dog food.
Dude, one time,
one of the life hacks that I have come to find is that if you see something that you want to buy, but you don't know what it's called, screenshot the photo that you saw it in or the video that you saw it in, and once it's on your phone, Google will give you an ad for it within the next week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's super smart. But yeah, speaking of smart stuff, both of the other things that I wanted to talk about tonight are actually Facebook related. So since we were talking about Facebook ad tracking, I was like, this is kind of going to fit. But Australia's Facebook has done some really interesting shit over the last week. The Facebook in Australia has completely banned any news related articles on their website. Anything.
Which
means I need to get on Australian Facebook, because that's why I deleted the mobile app, because it was either crypto or politics. And I don't fuck with either one of those. So Australia sounds pretty damn good right about now.
Yeah, just VPN yourself, my dude.
Yeah.
That's what I'm about to do, actually.
NordVPN, please sponsor us.
But yeah, there was a huge thing going around Australia. I guess some complaints have been made at some point, but Facebook just kind of went in and they were just like, hey, only in Australia, like, y'all can't access the news anymore on Facebook. Like, you have to actually go and get it from a real source. Which
is that something that is that something that the Australian government has a hand in, or is it just Facebook arbitrarily said Australia can't do it anymore, but Americans, you guys can look at fake news whenever you want. It's fine.
So it looks like it came from the managing director in Australia and New Zealand.
Okay, so it's not like a top-down decision; it's a decision made regionally by someone.
It looks like it's the managing director of Facebook from those areas.
Okay.
But this is just a blurb that I found from the blog post, I guess. It says the proposed law fundamentally misunderstands the relationship between our platforms and publishers who use it to share news content. It has left us facing a stark choice: attempt to comply with a law that ignores the realities of this relationship, or stop allowing news content on our services in Australia. And we're choosing the latter. So I guess there was some bullshit happening between Facebook and the media in Australia and New Zealand. And the managing director, Will Easton, was just kind of like, fuck Facebook. Like, no more news, period. Which, good for them. Like, Facebook isn't CNN. I hate to tell everybody else, I don't give a fuck about your political opinion on Facebook. I'm there for memes. Like, good for them on that part.
Memes and Christmas cards.
Referencing your Facebook feed as a credible news source.
I was just about to say, we don't need to talk about my nudes on the podcast. We can talk about that after if you guys want to buy some.
I definitely do.
But the last thing I got is Facebook is actually trying to make a comeback at some point. So do you guys remember when Facebook had a phone?
Oh yeah, golly.
Yeah, I just unlocked something from a lot of people's vaults, I hope. So at one point, Facebook tried to make a phone, and they were relevant for less time than the game Among Us was relevant, because we see how quickly that died out. Thank God.
I've still never played it.
There you go. Exactly my point. So Facebook is actually trying to get back into the tech world. They're doing a couple things. They like the kind of small thing is the Oculus Quest. I don't know if you guys were aware, but like Facebook has the thing with Oculus now. So it's now the Oculus sponsored by Facebook or whatever the fuck they call it. So they're updating that to have 120 hertz display, which is kind of cool because Apple just announced their VR headset, whatever. Like 120 hertz display on a VR headset sounds way better than 8K display on Apple's VR headset. Yeah, the 16K because 8K.
See, the refresh rate, that makes sense to me. Like we were talking about last week, how 16K doesn't even make any sense.
Yeah, exactly. So the Oculus Quest is it's supposed to have 120 hertz display, which sounds infinitely better. But Facebook is actually trying to get into the smartwatch game. And I don't really know how I feel about it. So, I mean, for those of you guys that don't like follow the smartwatch or tech stuff as much as I do, Apple, as far as like smart tech goes, or like wearable tech, whatever you want to classify that as, is 51% of the market. To put that in perspective, Apple's like Apple Watch series, whatever, like all the series that they came out with, is 51% of the market, or 51% of the sales, whatever you want to call that. Like you've got companies like Fossil, Fitbit, Samsung, Garmin. You've got all these other companies that are still like they're making smartwatch sales, but Apple table dicks the fuck out of everyone when it comes to wearable tech, just because it does exactly what it's supposed to do.
And it's better looking.
It's better looking. It's more reliable. It's got a lot more kick-ass features. Like obviously, if you've got it connected to an iPhone, it's got all those features on it. But
yeah, it's part of a much larger ecosystem, which really makes
exactly.
It, like,
that's what I was going to say. It all ties into the Apple ecosystem shit. But Facebook wants to do the kind of the same thing, because if you guys know that the Facebook portal is a thing that exists.
Right.
It's kind of like an iPad for Messenger. Like
for video chatting and stuff.
It was, I think they call it the Echo Show, which is the Alexa device that has the screen on it with a built-in camera and all that shit. Well, Facebook has the portal, which is essentially kind of the same thing, but they're trying to make this smartwatch that has health tracking and messaging tracking, so it's compatible with Samsung, iOS. It's compatible with all those devices, but it's going to be centered around Facebook apps. So you've got Facebook Messenger, regular Facebook, WhatsApp, Instagram, all of those all tied into your smartwatch, and it's supposed to be like a fluid transition from Apple or Samsung or whatever. And like, on one hand, I got to give them credit for being optimistic about it, but at the same time, get ready to get crushed. Like, I don't see anyone. I get that Facebook's a big like company, but at the same time, like
I'm not going to trade my Apple Watch in for a Facebook Watch.
No, absolutely not.
Like no, fuck no. And like that's the big thing. For one, you have a lot of people that are already into the Apple ecosystem, or you have those specific people that for whatever reason will not let go of Android. They're fucking diamond gripping it at this point. And they're like, oh, I have a Samsung smartwatch, or I have an LG watch because fuck you, it's LG, it's not iPhone, whatever. That said, you have those two categories, and then you have like the 1%ers that have like the Fitbit smartwatch, right? And then Facebook's just kind of try to like fuck their way into this. Like, it's not gonna work. I mean,
I can appreciate the effort.
Yes.
Like I can appreciate the idea that they want to break into a market that's pretty much dominated by Apple. Like,
yeah,
I don't know if there is a way that they can make the Facebook Watch really genuinely seamless so that the experience of using it is not limited by the fact, like using something like a Fitbit or even one of the Fossil smartwatches. Like I got one of those for my dad. It was like a semi smartwatch. Didn't have like an interactive display on it. This was years ago, but it had, it would track your health. It would track, all kinds of data through the Fossil Watch app. And it would also like give you, like when you got a text message from whatever contact you assigned to a number, all of the hands would like move to that number. But like,
yeah. So it's like one of those like hybrid analogs.
Functionality using a product that is outside the branding of Apple, especially because Apple is like so stingy with their developer permissions. Like I don't understand why they're not allowing third-party developers to do stuff like Apple Watch faces. Like to be perfectly honest, I don't really like the layout of any of the Apple Watch faces that you can get aside from just like the regular utility one that just shows you digital time and your couple of little widgets, or the ones that have like pictures of my dog on them,
like exactly.
But
yeah, I don't know.
If Facebook can make it so that you don't lose the functionality that you have of using the Apple Watch because it's not an Apple product, I think that's going to be huge, especially if they can keep the price point low.
Yeah,
because I think the biggest barrier to entry on smart accessories like that is the price of them, especially newer ones with the features that are offered by the newer Apple Watches and stuff like that. So
I think they're just, I think at some point it's just going to be like a blow up in the office of some kind.
I like my Apple Watch.
They're setting themselves up for destruction at that point.
So much in the way that they're not gonna blow up. Speaking of which, the Trump casino was blown up today.
Like I saw the thumbnail of it. It looked extremely satisfying.
Oh, it was so satisfying. It was a perfect demolition. Like that shit was just like.
So what was like, why was it demolished? I know that you sent me a link to this so I could look at it, but I figured I would ask you the questions instead. Put you on the
spot. Like a purposeful thing?
Yeah, of course. Basically, I mean,
of course.
It's let's put it this way. It was something that was owned by Donald Trump. Do you think it made money? No, it didn't fucking make shit. It was an eyesore. It was falling apart, and they've been trying to get that shit taken down. I mean, it's been unused since like 2014. So I mean, it's just been sitting there for 7 years, just falling into disrepair, basically. Yeah, exactly. Just rotting away.
I wonder how much cocaine residue they just blew up.
Oh.
How much cocaine residue there is in that casino that only serves Trump steaks.
Yeah, right. Fuck that noise.
Yeah, with ketchup.
Oh God,
but they're chewy and well
done. What that should have been our first hint.
Oh,
that should have been the first thing. Not the grabber by the you know what or the mocking a disabled reporter. No. The man likes his steak well done with ketchup.
And that man does not like steak. He likes meat.
Yeah,
exactly. Like meat. He likes meat flavored rubber.
It is essentially bad beef jerky at that point, right?
Yeah, it's like raw beef jerky.
Rubber. Yeah, it's that weird crossover section. Like you have medium well steak, and then you have the Trump steak, and then you have beef jerky. It's that weird like crossover section. It's the best steak in the town. I always order it with the finest ketchup in all of the land. Your taste buds are wrong.
We use Heinz ketchup only.
Sorry, dude.
In that same interview with his former butler, like,
wow,
he was talking about how particular Donald Trump is about his looks, which is so funny to me.
I gotta be orange and have a toupee.
Fucking funny looking.
Oh yeah.
But he is so funny looking, and he puts so much time into making himself that funny looking.
Yep. I've seen the images of people like fucking around in Photoshop, making Trump look like a normal dude. Like they Photoshop all of his hair off, and they give him more of like a natural skin tone, and he looks like a dude that fucking fits right in with every other political asshole.
Yeah, I mean, he still looks creepy and decaying, but
all politicians do.
Yeah,
but, yeah, it's weird, man. But yeah, just like you said, why do you give so much of an effort? Just like let go, grab the clippers, stay inside for a couple weeks.
Grab them by the clippers. Yep.
Yeah. Also, I feel like it would be remiss if we don't at least mention this and not dwell on it. Donald Trump was acquitted of his impeachment, and I feel like we're probably all on the same page that we're all really disappointed by that, but not surprised, right?
Exactly, 100%.
Okay. I don't really want to talk about it that much, but I feel like it's a current event that's very important that we have to mention. Like, what the fuck? What the fuck?
It just goes to show that there was never really enough faith in the system, and that's all I'm going to say about it.
Well,
we could talk about Ted Cruz going to Cancun.
Nah, fuck Ted Cruz. I don't even want. No, he's such an asshole.
The Zodiac killer.
The shit that him and Seth Rogen have gone back and forth with on Twitter is absolutely hilarious. Seth Rogen's my favorite actor, and the fact that he's just been roasting this cocksucker Ted Cruz is amazing.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah, that I'll talk about because that's fucking great. But
cocksucker.
But I guess I have one last thing I really want to bring up, just because I know we're gonna meme the hell out of it.
After that, I
fucking Randy Jackson.
Yes.
Right, let me pull up the picture for everyone.
What did I say earlier? He looks like will.i.am if will.i.am had cancer.
He looks like he's about to ask me for $5.
I lived next to a genuine, legit crackhead that looks just like he looks now. Like this lady Karen, she was the sweetest lady, but she was a crackhead. Like she would come over, she would borrow money from my parents all the time, and she always paid them back. Like every time she ever borrowed money from us, she always paid them back. But it was definitely going directly into her crack account. Like
it's a familiar tune. Yeah, no, he looks. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if it's like the worst thing I could have said, but he looks like shit, and it's I can't tell if it's just. I mean, I know he's in his 60s, but like it looks like it just hit him like a truck.
Yeah. It's so sad to me when someone goes through like a huge amount of weight loss and they look really bad afterwards compared to how they looked before. Like they put on this time and effort and self-discipline to try and make themselves better and try and be healthier and try and fit what generally is going to be the societal expectation for the way that people should look. But then they get there and they just got duped.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then everyone gives them shit for it. Like Jonah Hill's a good example. Like people constantly gave him shit for losing all that weight.
Yeah.
And then were still
everybody
like,
fucking bullied him. after becoming skinny.
The skinniest fat actor in Hollywood. You know, like that's
which is so fucked.
Makes me sad because there's nothing character related that they're judging that based on. It's purely. I mean, and we're doing it right now to Randy Jackson.
Yeah,
okay, yeah, but like,
it should be said, good for him for losing it.
Yes,
you know, good for him for getting healthy, but he does not look good.
Not at all.
It said what he lost 114 pounds after
something like that,
bypass surgery and after just like catching up with himself. Like honestly, good for him for like getting to that point. But I mean, maybe it's just because we haven't seen the in between pictures.
Yeah,
because
probably
the picture that we've gotten pulled up here. I mean, this looks like a picture when he had just become a big name on American Idol.
Yeah.
And the picture that it's comparing to on the right side looks like it was just taken last week. So, I mean, that's a long time in between. So we haven't really seen the changes. So I guess that's why it's such a drastic look. If that makes sense. Like there's no like before and after. It's just boom.
Yeah. So, plus, he's Randy fucking Jackson. Like he doesn't give a fuck what us.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, if you see Randy Jackson,
let me cry into my piles of money. Like,
right?
Yeah.
But like for real, if you see Randy Jackson in the street and you don't have anything but a samurai sword to get an autograph with, you're gonna get an autograph on your samurai sword.
Oh yeah, yeah. And you ask him for one, and he's gonna hit you with a that's gonna be a no from me, dog.
Yeah.
Like, exactly. But
then you say you had a shit experience with Randy Jackson and he gets canceled. I feel like they tried to cancel him recently. I might be wrong.
It's 2020 V2 all over again. Who fucking knows?
I don't know. I do have a couple questions.
We're canceled. We just got canceled. Just now.
Yeah, right.
We got
no more sponsors. I do got a couple questions for you guys I thought would make the podcast interesting.
Okay.
And then we'll go ahead and wrap it up.
Finally. We're finally going to be interesting.
14 episodes in. Yeah. We're decent.
The 15 itch. This one I think we'll have a good story with. What's the worst lie you told to avoid hanging out with somebody and why? I've got mine. If you guys want to ponder on that for a second,
Is yours what I think it is?
I was going to say I don't know if I'm legally allowed to answer this.
No, this is something.
I'll tell that story because it's by proxy. I was involved. I'll tell that story after you finish yours.
Oh no! Is that the worst? Are you sure?
Huh?
Are you sure that's the worst?
Well, yeah.
Fuck it, tell it anyway. We'll do that. But for me, I convinced somebody that I played hockey for a couple months just so I didn't have to see them. And every time they want to hang out, I tell them I had hockey practice and I'd go in my room and play video games. I'm not good at lying to people when I tell them I don't want to hang out. I'll just be like, no, I don't want to. But back then I was like really scared to say that. So the first thing I thought of instead of saying no was, no, I have hockey practice, and I'd go inside and they lived down my road, so they wouldn't see me leave. Like 14 years old too. That was the first thing that came to my mind.
Like, they knew you were ducking them for sure.
I don't know. I convinced them I played sports just so I didn't have to hang out with them. And if you're watching this, sorry, you're still annoying.
I'm still at practice.
I got hockey practice tomorrow, so I gotta go.
You'll have to tell me. You'll have to help me tell this story too, because this was just the greatest thing ever. So, Robbie's on a. Should we tell this story?
I don't know.
I've told worse. Whatever it is, I've told worse.
I just want to be sure the person will listen to this.
Protect potentially the identity of this person.
Oh, we'll just.
Are we worried about them potentially seeing this? Like,
I haven't talked to them since then.
Okay.
I don't have them on any social media, so no.
Robbie's on a Tinder date, right? Robbie's on a Tinder date. And this was back a while. Like this was back before, like we were working together still for like the same company, but it was a different part of the company. It was a whole different vibe. But I was his manager at the time, and he was telling me about how bad this Tinder date was, like just awful. Just like elaborate, like
so. Oh God! Oh, I won't get too much into detail. But we were supposed
to, but like
we were supposed to hang out and go to a party. I was like, okay, it's a party. There's a lot of people here. I don't mind, because if I need to dip, I'll leave and fucking all right. So I get to not their house, their friend's house. There's no party there, and I thought I was going to her house. So I get to her friend's house, and there's a man, a woman, and an infant. Not a baby, an infant.
Like brand spanking new,
fresh out the fucking womb, baby. Just sitting there on a couch, oven. And I was like, what are we doing? Oh, well, we have to go pick up Bob and Joe. Right. You know, we have to go get Bob and Joe. And I was like, okay, let's go get Bob and Joe, and then we're good to go. Yeah, sure. So all of us hop in the car except the infant, which I think the dad stayed home with. Or no, the dad or the mom stayed home with. Actually, I don't know. I think they were both with us. Either way,
they left that baby.
The infant wasn't there. And we're driving there. She's driving 40 and a 60, like terrified to come to stoplights, screaming at everybody in the car. At this point, I'm like, oh, please just let's get to where we're going. Maybe the party's there. We get to this, in full offense, like white trash, trailer park. And I'm looking around. I'm like, okay, this looks pretty scummy. I don't know if they were just dealing drugs or what, but I thought I saw meth at one point. And we pick up one of two of the guys that are just being super, super fucking sketchy. One of them gets in the car, and then we head back to her house. And we stop at the gas station first. And the whole time they're asking me questions. Do I have any cigarettes? Do I have any weed on me? Where do I work? What's my job called? Can they buy this where I work? Can I sell them this? What does this do? Blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, that's not happening. I'm not telling you where I work. Thank God I didn't.
Right. Is this the point when you had been talking to me at this point?
Well, on the drive back is when it got worse. I think throughout the whole time I was keeping you and whoever we were in the group chat with updated, like this is going like shit. What the fuck? We get to her friend's house. The crackhead, I'm just going to call him the crackhead. The crackhead, the baby daddy, and the baby mama get back in the house, and the infant's in there. But on the way there, there's lots of screaming and yelling and fighting and arguing and driving super slow and then driving super fast and then almost hitting other cars. I was white knuckling the fuck out of the oh shit handle. I'm like, I'm like, you can, like, white knuckles. Like, shit was scary. And it was at that point I realized I'm in danger. Like, it's not like, oh, this is weird. It was like I was scared, like genuinely scared at this point. So we get back to the lair, wherever the fuck. And it was at this point I proceeded to say, I'm going to go stand outside for a little bit. And that's when I started texting you.
Yeah, so he starts telling me all this stuff about this horrible, like, this was supposed to be a date. This isn't even just like he got stuck in a weird situation.
There was
like,
no party.
He was supposed to be going to a party with a date from Tinder. And I was like, do you need me to like code red this shit and like give you an excuse to get the fuck out of there? And he was like, yes. So he goes, I assume you went back inside, right?
Negative. I stayed outside smoking.
But because I thought I heard them in the background. I thought that they could hear me over the phone when I called you because I was calling him. I called him as his manager, pissed the fuck off because the door was unlocked at the store. And this is at 11:30 at night, almost midnight. Like, I was like, dude, you have to go back to the store right now and check and make sure nothing got stolen. Like, I'm like yelling into my phone just to make sure anybody nearby can hear it, just to bail him out of this horrible fucking experience.
This is what I had you do. I had you wait 5 or 10 minutes from the time I texted you so it didn't look suspicious.
Yeah.
And I was like, my boss is calling me. Hold on. Hello?
And then I'm just yelling. Like I came out of the gate just screaming. And then of course, like, he didn't go back to the store because there was no crisis. But I was glad to have been able to help in that situation. But golly, that's like the funniest story. Just be like, yeah, I called my buddy to get him out of a Tinder date by telling him he'd be fired if he didn't.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
And like I got home and waited probably an hour and a half, 2 hours, and then I texted her and was like, everything's good at the store. I'll see you later. Block.
Jesus.
All right, who's up next?
I'm just gonna say I don't really have anything. I've never really had a problem with saying I don't want to hang out or I don't want to be here.
My problem is that I get anxious. Like, I will fully be interested in hanging out with somebody, but I get super anxious about making plans with people. So I'll just pretend I had plans already, or I'll be like, oh, let me, like, if I ever say to you, I don't know what's going on that day, it's because I'm anxious about saying yes to make plans with you. And it has nothing to do with you. But like, I'll be like, oh, I don't know what's going on that day. I'll have to talk to Hannah. I don't talk to Hannah. I revel in my anxiety and then stay home.
Noted.
Oh yeah, I also use my girlfriend as an excuse sometimes. It's great.
I've had some interesting stories. There are stories that I cannot tell here, but probably one of the safe for podcast stories that I have about getting out of a sticky situation. So I was, at the time out getting some booty, so I thought. And I was on my way over there.
Bigger than mine.
And
said his dick was bigger than mine.
So like I get over there and we're just like hanging out, whatever, having a good time. And then out of nowhere, she's like, "Hey," so mind you, this was a Tinder date that I had met for the very first time after talking for like a few days. I was just like, "Oh, cool, she's got a big butt, whatever." I was a huge asshole at the time, so I was just like, "Oh, she's got a big butt, whatever, this will work." So I get over there and we're just hanging out and we have, a normal conversation, and she starts talking about like, yeah, so like, I know we haven't really like talked about marriage or anything, but how many kids do you want with me? Excuse me?
I mean, she has her priorities. I guess.
I was shocked. Like,
so that I can raise that red flag for you.
Like, I'm just like, how many kids do you want with me? And I'm like,
that's a really very specific question too.
Yeah. So a super specific question.
How many kids do you want?
Yeah,
but
how many do you want with me? And that the sirens went off, and I'm like, what in the entire fuck? So I was like, I don't really want kids. And she's like, oh, okay, that's cool. Totally shows the fuck out, like in a weird way. She's like, okay,
like she expected you to be like 3. Like to just be red.
Yeah. So she does that weird like horror movie chill out, just shuts down, and she's like, oh, okay, I'll be right back. So she goes to the kitchen. I texted my buddy. All I sent him was the address, and immediately after, SOS. Sent. I'm guessing he didn't see it for a couple minutes, but it was actually immaculate timing. So she comes back, and she's like, oh, like, I got you a drink. If you want something, I don't remember what the fuck it was. And she handed me it, and I was like, thanks.
I hope you didn't drink it.
Oh, no. She waited for me to do it. She's like, "Oh, you're not thirsty, right?" Oh, there goes Tommy.
We gotta wait for Tommy.
Uh-oh. Oh no. Weird timing. We're right in the middle of the story.
Yeah.
Do we have the technical difficulty screen?
Whoa.
Tommy, did I scare you off?
Yeah, dude. I do not know what just happened.
I'm not gonna cut this
we
out.
We just got ham on screen right now.
Yeah.
Yep. Just a big old slab of ham. Do we wait?
Do we wait for
you?
No, just go for it. Just talk to the ham.
Yeah. I'll just talk to the ham. That's fine.
Talk to the ham.
We go. Immaculate timing. So she comes back and like hands me the drink or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, you're not thirsty?" And I was like, "No, not really." And I'm kind of like holding my phone in my pocket, and she just kind of looked at me and she's like, "Probably take a drink, something. You might be tired." I'm like, "No, the fuck, I'm not." All of a sudden, my phone just starts going off. I'm like, "Oh, thank Christ!" I yanked that phone out of my pocket so quick, I thought it was gonna fly out and go through the fucking wall. Like, I ripped that shit out of my pocket. I'm like, "Hello?" He's like, "Hey, you good?" Like, "Yeah, everything's great." "Why?" He's like, "Oh, cool, because your dad just showed up in my apartment." Mind you, God rest this man's soul, he was a fucking animal. Like, I never got any context for this. So I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know if he was playing along or if my dad actually
showed up.
Yeah. And for those of you that have met my dad or know about my dad, you know that at that time he was kind of batshit. I was like, okay. I don't know. And he's like, "Dude, you have to get the fuck over here or I'm coming to pick your ass up." I was like, what's going on? Like, he's like, "Dude, your dad's threatening to like break the door down and come inside. Like, he knows that we've got shit here and this, that, and the other." And he's like, it sounds like he's freaking the fuck out. So now I'm freaking out twice as much. And I'm like, okay. Like, my kneecaps are sweating at this point. And I was like, so I look at the girl and I'm like, I gotta go home. My dad just showed up and she's like, "Oh, okay." Okay. So I was like, "Okay, like I'll send you the address." And he's like, "I'm already on the road." Like, and I sent it to him and he's like, "Cool, I'll be there in like 5 minutes." So he gets there in like 2 minutes flat. It just fucking rolls up, hams on the horn, just fucking right outside. I'm like, "I guess that's my roommate. I gotta go." And she's like, "Okay, bye." So I booked it out the fucking door. And I like throw my seatbelt on, I get in the car, and he starts peeling out of the fucking neighborhood. And I was like, "So what the fuck is up with my dad? Like, are we good?" And he's like, "Oh, you didn't read the text I sent, did you?" And I was like, "I didn't get a text from you." And he starts laughing his ass off, and he's like, "Dude, I'll get you out of any situation. You know I got your back." I was like, "Are you fucking
to be honest,
kidding me?"
Hey, I mean that works out like that.
Like, that dude could have gotten a goddamn Academy Award for getting me out of that shit. Like, fucking immaculate timing. Like I said before I got the phone call, like, apparently he sent a text. I never got it, so I didn't know what the fuck was happening. So, like, it worked.
Genuine performance is what you gave, because you didn't know.
I was that fucking close to getting him a trophy for that. Like, absolutely well done. But yeah, that's the craziest fucking avoiding that I've got. And I never heard from her after that. Like, that was it. Like, changed my number, like, did all that shit. Like, I was out of it. I'm good.
I think we know what she was trying to do.
You think?
What, Cardi B him?
Oh,
yes.
Yeah, I wasn't ready. Right? I wasn't ready for a round 2, so I was like, I'm changing everything. I'm good.
Yeah.
All right.
You don't have anything
so
else?
is that do you have other questions to ask now? You said you had a couple.
I have another, but I don't know if I should save it for next week. It's nothing fun, but I want to have a photo with it. I don't think I have the photo.
Well, here, why don't you give us the question so that then we can think about it and have the story ready for next week.
Sure. All right. We'll do this at the end of every episode because Kyle doesn't watch till the end or at all, so he never sends us what we tell him to at the end of the episodes.
Yeah.
So
if you're
for next
watching
week,
this, send a dick pic.
Don't do that.
Doesn't have to be his.
He sends yours. The next one was just going to be, what's your best Scar story?
Best car story?
Scar.
I have so many good stories of,
I got
my first car. I will absolutely have an awesome one for you.
He said Scar.
Scar.
Yeah, like
he's cutting out. He's saying
Am I cutting out?
Like a
Scar.
like a bruise.
Oh.
It's okay. The hamster started turning again. We're good.
All right. I mean, I can think about it, but most of my scars were from when I was a wee child. So
I have one.
I got a great one. So
all right. Well, now we know, and tune in next week to find out about our interesting car/scar stories.
All right. Well, that was Leftovers at Midnight, episode 15, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Probably.
Signing off. All right. 15.
All right. Episode 30. Bye.
Bye.